Welcome back to BW Expert Talk series, and we are glad to welcome Ms. Rebecca Trinh on the topic of divestment in industrial real estate. So, amidst a very positive sentiment industrial real estate market, why are we having today's discussion about divestment, and what are the key factors for a company to consider when doing divestment?
Yes, I would say that investment and divestment are essentially two sides of the same coin. There are many reasons why the company doing divestments. I can bring up a couple. Either the asset is no longer aligned with the company business strategies, or the company's change ownership, and the new owner want to divest so that they can invest the new capital into other markets or other business line. Some developer, they have a strategies to divest their fully leased out property at premium, so they can recycle the capital for new developments. In some other circumstances, the asset is listed under non-performing and the company doesn't have relevant resources to further develop it, meaning the longer they hold it, the more loss they will incur. And in other case, the company experience financial difficulty, the difficulty to access capital for production, servicing bank loans. As a result, they have to restructuring their portfolio, divest them to meet the capital requirement.
Right, that's very interesting. So that's the seller. How about the buyers? Who are the potential buyers?
There are about a couple group of potential buyers in this market. First, it would be an industrial real estate sub-developer who want to expand their market share. Second would be financial investors like PEs, insurance companies, pension funds. They would like to include industrial and logistic real estate into their portfolio because the asset would provide resilience and stable income when they are fully leased out. And the last group is the end user sales, usually manufacturing companies who would like to buy instead of leasing out the property for the internal use.
So is there any checklist before any divestment?
Every transaction will have a different angle to consider. However, it's important that the seller needs to have an agent with extensive network of potential buyer. And even it's more important that in order for the divestment process to happen smoothly, the seller needs to prepare for it by considering the following key items. First, they need to make sure that the legal aspect of the assets are clean and clear. It's very surprising to know that there are a lot of assets for sales don't even have a proper land use right certificate. Second, the seller needs to separate all of the right and financial liability of an asset into a single standalone company because it's easier to divest the asset in such a structure than to sell an asset in a company with a lot of business line and financial liabilities. And last of all is if the asset is in operation with tenants, then the seller need to make sure that they have ownership changing clause in their contracts.
Right.
Okay, and once the seller taking care of all of the issues, basically they already reduce half of the negotiation time.
So let's say I'm an investor. I invest in industrial real estate market, and then now I realize that it's not easy at all. It's capital intensive, product development is not easy, and I want to divest when the market is still hot. So what kind of challenges that I may expect in order to have a successful transaction?
Based on our experience in screening and executing many transactions in this nature, we would like to share there are a couple of challenges. First, it depends on the experience and expertise of the seller. In many transactions, the seller are individual manufacturing companies, speculator. They don't have a full knowledge of the market, experience of the asset transfer, or the legal process itself. So they lead to many limitations in determining the transaction value or the deal structures. Secondly, the consistency of the asset transfer. Seller not even aware that in certain circumstances, the buyer are required to sign a new lease agreement with the IP with a higher price instead of the existing leasing rate. And some of the property or the land zoning are not allowed for ready-built factory or warehouse development, which limit that the asset can only transfer to the manufacturing companies. So with this condition, that will limit like half of the number of potential buyers. Thus, it's a time constraint. Sometimes the seller in need of the money fast. Or they access it in the bank. This is the public auction held by the bank. So that leaves us the time to evaluate the assets or the deal execution very tight. Sometimes it's impossible to carry out. And the last one is pricing. It's very important and it's so time consuming for negotiation. But honestly, the experience to provide and to accept alternative option in payment or pricing conditions is very helpful because it helps to bridge the gap of price expectations. For example, the payment schedule can be deferred a bit until certain tax legal risk is significantly mitigated.
So I guess as a very experienced expert in the market, do you think that pricing is the most critical factor above everything else, or is it not?
I have to agree that price is definitely crucial, but based on our experience dealing with many different sellers of different backgrounds, there's something more important than pricing is the willingness, how much effort the seller willing to make to get the transaction done, okay? From a non-experienced seller, they would not be able to understand the conditions or the concern from the buyers. And when they don't understand it, then they probably don't have a patience to address the concern. Well, but at BW, with our experience, we able to provide professional advice to our sellers upfront. Like we're going to present to them, here's the pro and the con of different deal structures. And we only negotiate key concern so that we can speed up the whole process.
So it's actually important to have a balance between pricings and the mutual understanding between the sellers and buyers. So this wrap up our conversation today pretty well. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for tuning in. We will inform you later on our next show. In the meantime, if you're having any question, don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you again for watching and see you later. Bye bye.